Hello, I'm Millie, I'm 17. I'm a member of Youth Parliament for Staffordshire, running to be re-elected, and I'm going to read you a short story called Last Man Standing. I thought it was over, but still every breath I took was a punch in the gut. Silence had never been so deafening. The realisation didn't take much time to strike. I was still alive. Often, surviving is a relief, a stroke of luck. After all, who wouldn't wish to be the last man standing? But this was a life sentence of torture. Despite being king of the castle, free to roam the world as my own, I felt trapped in the confinement of consequences. Dominion is meaningless when there's nothing left to exploit. I can hardly claim innocence when I was part of the problem, not the solution. Although I can rest easier knowing that I was not one of those climate-denying freaks who deem scientific evidence to be fake news. However, I was far too concerned with profit and efficiency than the protection of the planet. I was not alone in that belief, and the warning signs that should have left the foundations of society quaking hardly caused a scratch in the surface. Too preoccupied with the hokey-cokey ins and outs of Brexit and the apparent threats of immigration to bat an eyelid towards the impending annihilation of the one thing we all have in common: our homes. We selfishly exploited our today while watching our tomorrow burst into flames before our very eyes. I was never a man of the outdoors. I spent so much time cooped up in an office surrounded by the concrete jungle that the wonders of nature passed me by, unappreciated. As of then, though, the sky was cursed, a blotchy burnt red with slashes of scarlet and inky swirls festooning the sky. A questionable coloured smog suffocated me, rising in plumes of undulating smoke like severed slugs. A tedious toxic smell penetrated my nostrils, a cocktail of burning rubber, molten plastic and festering flesh. Remorse, in the most part, is a useless emotion. It always comes too late. Of course, I am overwhelmed with guilt, but it seems counterproductive to allow myself to be consumed by an emotion that cannot be resolved. Instead, I will suffer for actions I regret but cannot change. And that's the most laughable thing. We were also blind, blundering on with our actions, naively believing that we were making the world a better place for our children who are nowhere, neither heaven nor hell, our children who we sought refuge from their own home, that we turned into a ball of fire, our children who we promised to protect from the murderers, the rapists, the oppressors, the extremists, the corruption of society. Our children who we let down, didn't listen to, and while doing so, sacrificed them to the biggest sin of all: ignorance. My daughter, Amy, she was 3 at the end. She was a bright spark with so much potential and passion. She never had the childhood she deserved, never got to roam the woodlands, run barefoot and do roly-polies in the grass until her knees were caked with grass stains, have the breeze sweep her hair into knots. Instead, she was made to wear a gas mask to protect her lungs before she could walk, and acquainted with an oxygen shortage before she could talk. She could have been the next Rosalind Franklin, the next Georgia O'Keeffe, Emmeline Pankhurst. She could have been a graduate at university, a wife, a mother, a grandmother. She could have been anything, but we gave her the chance to be nothing. Most parents would do anything for their children. Anything but the one thing they needed: to be listened to. Somehow, I'm still here. I could try and make sense of this, solve the mystery of my survival. Yet nothing seems straightforward anymore in this nonsensical world. All I know is that I was there when the world ended. All I know is that somehow I survived. All I know is that I am the last man standing.